Joining us right now, so much going on in Maryland, specifically in Montgomery County, so we thought we'd check in with one of the council members. Roger Berliner joins us right now, of course, representing Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Potomac, Kensington, Poolesville. Council Member Berliner, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you.
So let's start with yesterday's news that Pepco Holdings is going to be purchased by Exelon, which really reduces competition in the area for many Pepco customers, and that's a lot of your constituents. Are you concerned about this? Because it seems like we're going in the wrong direction with regard to competition in the marketplace and being able to service customers' needs and bring prices down.
Well, actually, let me just make clear, distribution utilities are monopolies. Where there is competition is in the sale of power, and Pepco does not sell power. So in this limited realm of distribution utilities, the competition issue is not that significant an issue. It is an issue with respect to the power this company will have in Maryland, its political power, and that's why we will need our regulators to be vigilant. But this isn't normally like a monopoly competition issue the way in which you think of it in the private sector.
Well, I guess what I mean is, power companies have to be responsive to two entities, their customers and to the politicians that grant them power. They now have a little bit more of, as you said, a monopoly, even a bigger monopoly. They don't necessarily need to be as responsive to the politicians, do they?
Well, actually, it's not really politicians that they've ever really been responsive to. And I know that firsthand. It is our regulators that need to be in control of this process. Our regulators tell them how high to jump, and they need to jump that high. So what we really need, and where Pepco customers can come out ahead, is Exelon does have a better track record on reliability, and our regulators have to approve this sale. And so from my perspective, what our regulators must do is say to Exelon, I want to see your plan for making Pepco customers the happiest customers in the country, customers that will enjoy top quality reliability, and we will condition our approval on your assurances in that regard.
Our guest is Montgomery County Councilmember Roger Berliner. I want to talk about the Silver Spring Transit Center. Because there's a new report that says that you need to spend at least another $7 million after our having spent $120 million to make things right. And if you don't, big chunks of concrete could fall on people's heads. So, I mean, how did this thing get so messed up?
Well, our county believes that it got this messed up because contractors didn't do what the contractors were supposed to do.
But you know what? I just got to stop you there. Allow me to stop you there.
In the way in which the structure needed to be designed.
Let me stop you there because you have inspectors, do you not? Anytime you build a building in Montgomery County, you have county inspectors who go by. How did it get all the way to completion without these things being found out?
Well, one, there's no question that our county has realized that this was a project that was outside its core competency. Okay? This was a very complex project. It's not a library. It's not a fire station. We do those very well. This structure was far outside the norm, and I think our county came to realize, and the executive branch came to realize, it should have had a different management structure. But that doesn't fundamentally change the equation as to whether or not the people did what they were supposed to do.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I recently met with a Montgomery County businessman who's trying to just rehab a building. And I'm not at liberty to give all the details here, but let me just say this guy's been worn out by your inspectors. Run through the ringer. You wouldn't believe if I could catalog the things that have happened to this guy. You would not believe the level of stuff that the inspectors have made this guy, the hoops he's had to jump through, the problems he's had to go through. And this is a guy who just wants to rehab a building and increase the tax base and be a good business member in the community. So you take people who are just trying to do good things with their business and they get harassed by your inspectors, but on the other hand of the equation, you got these inspectors who are not doing their job on a big project that the county is doing.
I'm not going to say that our county regulations can be a burden. There's no question that it can be, and we're doing everything we can to lessen that burden and create a more business-friendly environment.
Well, but if you got this thing going on in Montgomery County like this, where business people can't do business because the inspectors are so onerous and so burdensome, and the rules and regulations are so difficult, who is responsible for that culture?
Well, I think it is a culture that has existed for a long time, and many of us are trying to change that culture. But it takes probably a long time to change that culture. It's just been something that's been part of the makeup of Montgomery County in terms of its regulatory approach to things for a long time. But actually, I would be grateful if the person that shared that with you shared it with our county council so that we know precisely how to change the situation, because these kinds of apocalyptic stories in the abstract aren't as helpful as somebody saying, Councilmember Berliner, here was my experience step by step, because then we can change it step by step.
I'll be happy to put that person in touch, but believe me, the appeals have been made. Trust me.
Councilmember Berliner, it is election season, and there's a lot of stories out there right now about the union backing that your opponent is going to have, and the suggestion is that these unions helped get you into office. They're not happy with how you've been performing, and so now they're throwing their support over to your opponents so that they're going to get you out. Well, how do you respond to that? Why are the unions angry at you?
Well, the unions are angry because, particularly our Fraternal Order of Police, for 20 years had a power that no union in the state has, and it was called effects bargaining. Effects bargaining is this, that when the police chief told them to check their emails, they would say, well, gee, that affects our workplace. You must bargain that. You cannot tell us that. So our police chief said, this doesn't work. Our county executive said, this doesn't work. Our council, 9-0, said this doesn't work. Our Democratic Party, 90%, said this doesn't work. My district, 2/3 of it said this doesn't work. And the voters said it doesn't work. And now they seek payback because they didn't want to give up any power. And so the other unions have sort of rallied around them and said, Councilmember Berliner and the Democrats on Montgomery County are like Republicans. Hogwash. We are hardly like Republicans to take a power that no other union in the state had and that was abused and that threatened public safety, and we said enough. So I'm willing to have this fight.
Yeah. Well, it certainly raises the question if Ms. Trachtenberg does get in to the seat that you're holding right now for District 1, how beholden she's going to be to the union, since this is the one issue that they're really starting to swing support over to her on.
Well, not only is she beholden, she's pledged that she would, in fact, overturn the decision of the voters on this issue, that she would lead that fight.
Wow.
Listen, 4 years ago, my opponent said that she wouldn't even seek the endorsement of the county employee unions because they represented 70 to 80% of our budget. This year, they're literally running her campaign. So a lot has changed in 4 years, but one of the things that hasn't is I haven't changed.
All right, Roger Berliner, thanks for joining. But by the way, just so you know, here on WMAL Mornings on the Mall, not a bad thing to be a Republican. You should, it's okay. There are a lot of Republicans in Montgomery County, Mr. Berliner.
I understand, but in this particular context,
all right, thanks for joining.
You, and I've got a lot of friends who are Republicans.
Oh, some of my best friends are Republicans.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
That's funny.
I may even have a family member or two. I won't divulge.
Well, I'm sure they're listening, actually, as they do every day here on WMAL. Thank you, Councilmember.